To learn about the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Hit the bell notification. Well, it's a rainy day today, and as expected, Carolyn and I are going to have to move out of the tiny house because I remember somebody telling me that during a thunderstorm, the metal roof was going to be so noisy that we wouldn't be able to stand it, and we'd end up sleeping in a truck. It's so noisy. I'm being sarcastic, of course. The insulation in the attic muffles any of the sound. I mean, yeah, you can hear a little bit of the raindrop, but it's not noisy at all by any stretch of imagination. As a matter of fact, I didn't even realize it was raining last night when I was asleep until the lightning, not the noise, the lightning woke me up. And I still got another layer of insulation to put up there. Right now, I only have insulation on the ceiling, but I want to put insulation on the roof as well. That way we can actually make the loft into a living area if we wanted to. So today I thought I would do some questions and answers. Now I used to do questions and answers every couple of weeks or whenever I had a chance. The last question and answer video I did was during the tiny house build. What I started to notice was a lot of complaints about the question and answer videos. Views were going down. People weren't watching as long. They were getting angry and cussing me out in the comment section. So I just stopped doing them. Well, yesterday someone asked me to do another question and answer video. So I figured I would give it another try, do a question and answer video, see how it goes. I assume that people don't understand. YouTube requires you to get lots of views. And if you just focus on a small audience, you're never going to grow a channel. And I know that's not important to the people who want the question and answer videos, but it's important to the YouTuber. All YouTube creators are constantly under pressure. If you want to grow a channel, you got to do it YouTube's way. Okay, one of the questions that I get very regularly is how do you find unincorporated areas? Well, I don't know, to be honest. I just happen to know the state of Missouri has a lot of unincorporated areas, especially out in the rural areas. You know, you get away from Kansas City and St. Louis and Columbia and get away from the Ozarks, and you'll start finding unincorporated areas. I mean, I've lived in two now, this one, and about 10 years ago, I lived in another one, a small town. I lived there for 10 years, and that was an actual town. I lived in town. It was actually called a village, and it had 100 people in the village. Well, this area, I actually live outside of city limits, and this area is unincorporated. Now, the town that I live next to voted in 2015 to unincorporate. So they were incorporated, they had a mayor, they had a police department, maybe, I don't know. It's awful small, I can't imagine they actually had a police department. But, you know, they had a city park. Well, now they've unincorporated. They voted and said, okay, we don't want any of that. Well, now the regulations fall to the county. Well, the county regulations don't really get into city regulations. You got to make sure you don't dump your sewage tank out into the fields and, you know, whatever. What I would suggest is start Googling and looking, and that's the best place to start. I did a video on this a long time ago, maybe over a year ago, and I talked about how we found unincorporated areas. And it was just a lot of research, and Missouri happens to have a lot of unincorporated areas. I can't tell you about other states. What I do know is if you're wanting to live off-grid, there are very few states that actually really allow it. Missouri, Tennessee, Maine, those areas do allow it really well. Of course, Alaska does, if you want to travel all the way up to Alaska. I hear a lot of people say, I'm going to go to Alaska. I had that big dream too. I really wanted to go. So we stayed in Missouri, and I found that Missouri was really the best for this kind of dream. Now, I'm going to try to keep these questions in a kind of a theme order. But another question is, and I get this daily, where do you live? Because I want to find a piece of property where you are. Well, I try not to give out my location. I know people have found me, and that's because they do their homework and they pick up on clues of things that I've said, like, you know, there's a store 3 miles away or whatever, and they start searching, and it's just, I guess, an obsession to find me. So, but I don't give out my location. I never have that I'm aware of. And the reason is being on YouTube and being as hated as I am. I don't know why I'm hated. I really don't understand it. I've tried to understand it, and trying to understand it actually drives you more crazy than just living with it. It's frustrating. But I get death threats all the time. I get people wanting to throw me in jail all the time. They just come up with any kind of lie. As a matter of fact, I'm going to talk later about a video that I just made earlier where somebody tried to have me arrested. So I can't give out my location. because it would just get worse. Of course, you know, I'm going to defend myself if anybody ever came near me. So why would I want to set that person up to endanger themselves to come onto my property, so I'm forced to defend myself against them? It just wouldn't make any sense. It's a terrible idea. So no, I don't give out my location. But to continue on this theme, how do I find property like you did? Well, the answer is so simple. You just look. And really, that's all there is to it. Carolyn started looking on Facebook Marketplace. Now, I suppose you could look on Craigslist, but Carolyn likes Facebook Marketplace. That's just where she hangs out. And within, I would say, a month, after we had made a decision to actually live off-grid, you know, we were nomads, and then we decided to live off-grid. That was in August, I guess 2019. The year doesn't matter. That was in August. And by January, the following January, she had already found several pieces of property, including this one from Facebook Marketplace. All of them were selling it independently, and I think that's key. Don't go finding a realtor. We actually looked for a realtor. She found several properties in eastern Missouri, and it was all realtor property. That was terrible. But when you can talk to an individual, and of course they're going to lie to you, but you can catch them in lies a lot easier than realtors. Realtors are trained to lie to you. An individual will try to lie to you, and you'll be able to figure out what they're lying about pretty quick. And we were able to find lots of cheap property. 10 acres for $7,000. We got this for $4,200, and there were several others. One of the things I have not talked about in a long time is our cat. We don't own a cat. I don't know how this gets turned into, hey, you have a cat. Where is your cat? What'd you do with your cat? I mean, I've been accused of everything about this cat. I've gotten rid of the cat. I've hurt the cat. I've stopped feeding the cat. The cat is a feral cat. And by definition, feral means they're going to do whatever they want, whenever they want, and however they want. For the longest time, I would say all summer long, I call it a she. I want to be clear on this. And you will catch me calling it a she. When I was growing up, cats were females, dogs were males. It's just the way it was. Carolyn was the first one to feed it. She was out barbecuing on the grill, and it just sat by her. And when I say sat by her, I mean like 20 feet away. And she threw it a piece of food, and it came around ever since. And I got attached to it, and I started taking care of it. I bought canned food and dry food and water, and we started getting on a schedule. He would come around for breakfast and then lunch and then dinner. And then winter came around, and I was putting wood into the outdoor wood furnace, and he would come out every time I would put wood into the wood furnace. And he was getting really fat. And then he started sleeping underneath the overhang on our camper. And we were sleeping in the camper at the time. This is before we moved into the tiny house. And then one day he got sick, and that's about the time we moved into the tiny house. And he left for a while, came back for a while, and then left. And then during the cold snap, what was that, 2, 3, 4 weeks? We didn't see anything from him. And we figured he didn't survive it. Well, just a few days ago, he came back. And I ran out there and immediately fed him. He was skin and bones. I don't know where he was. We have a suspicion where we know where he was. There's this guy, he's kind of a hoarder, way down the road. And I don't want to give us too much information because I don't want anybody to get mad at him. But he hoards cats. I suspect the cat got stuck in the building and he got sick and was not going to the building to feed the cats. Well, when he got better, when the guy got better, he let the cats out, and that cat ran right over here. So I've fed him 2 or 3 times since then, trying to get him fattened back up. But, I mean, it's real sporadic. It's not every day now. One of the things that I get a lot of complaints about is my water tank. I have a water tank. I put it inside a box, an insulated box outside the house, and I pump water into the house. It's a 275-gallon IBC tank. And the water gets pumped into the hot water heater. Well, when it got really, 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 really cold, the plumbing froze. Not the tank, the plumbing. Well, the tank did freeze, but that was my mistake. But ultimately, the plumbing is what caused the whole problem. And everybody has had a solution on how to deal with this. And I keep telling folks that the solutions just aren't feasible when you're living off grid. People tell me, oh, put a light bulb in there. Well, I don't have the electric to run a light bulb. We live off grid. We have very limited amount of electric. So I have to find ingenuitive ways to heat the tank, which didn't need heated in the first place. It didn't freeze. Okay, and the final question is, and I've had 2 videos on this, and they've been very popular videos, is the guy in Tennessee who turned me in for building code violations. This guy in Tennessee called the sheriff on me twice. The first time, the sheriff came out, did an investigation, and he said, okay, you didn't do anything wrong. The second time he came out, he informed me that the fella had been arrested. I've gotten a lot of people to ask me, what is the guy's name? I want to go visit this guy. I want this guy, you know, whatever. Well, you can't do that on YouTube. It's called doxing, you know, documenting someone else's stuff. You can't do that. It's a YouTube violation. Yes, viewers can do it to content creators all day long, and they do. But a content creator cannot retaliate against these people. You will get kicked off YouTube. So no, I'm not going to provide the guy's name and address and location for the whole reason that you want me to give him the name is the whole reason I'm not supposed to give the name. That's what I got for today. That's the question and answer. So I hope I can inspire you to live your dream. Thanks for watching.